This episode of Celtics Roundtable is powered by CLNS Media. This is going to be a ridiculous episode of this podcast because the Celtics are now one win away from the Eastern Conference Finals after dispatching the Washington Wizards in Game 5. Celtics 123, Wizards 101. Hi everybody, Evan Valenti with you on Celtics Roundtable alongside Matthew and Jonathan Ignal, and Tom Lucky's Pipe is joining us as well. They're going to help break down Game 5 and what was a beautiful game for the Celtics. Pretty much right from the jump, energy was spectacular. But Matt, this game for me, you look at the playoffs so far, and you have a couple of very big defining games. You have Gerald Green, Game 4, I thought, of the first series against the Bulls. It was his game. Game 2 was the Isaiah Thomas game. And Game 5 here against the Wizards is the Avery Bradley game.
29 points for Avery Bradley. He hit 10 out of his first 13 shots. He actually missed like his first couple of shots. I was like, oh, it's going to be one of these Avery Bradley games. But no, he flipped the script completely and probably had his best playoff game of his entire career. He set a playoff career high for him with 29 points. On top of that, great defense on John Wall for pretty much the entire game. In that first quarter where the game was mostly decided there, Avery Bradley had 14 points, and he held John Wall to just 2 points. And Avery Bradley finished the half with 25, which is ridiculous. So he's clearly the MVP of this game.
In the interim between Game 4 and Game 5, I guess Marcin Gortat spoke to a Polish media member and said that Avery Bradley told him that if Gortat sets one more illegal screen, he's going to beat him up. I think a lot of people interpreted that as he would physically punch Gortat in the face or something, but Avery Bradley lets his play do the talking. Avery Bradley came out on both ends and beat the shit out of the Wizards.
Tom, you a little surprised considering Avery's injury history this series? He's had a right hip pointer issue, now a left hip pointer issue. Like last game against Washington, I didn't think he looked good on the offensive side of the floor. He was leaving a bunch of shots short. I think he was 1 for his last 9 entering Game 5 from 3-point range. Surprised that he put together a full effort here?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, he looked real hobbled last couple of games. And he just came out now. Took 19 shots, but he was hitting them. I mean, he played defense when it mattered. To get the lead that they built, that 20-point lead, he was instrumental in that. And I think that after that, Horford just kind of took the role and then sustained it until the end.
Yeah, Horford I thought was like the steadying force of the ship. Whenever Washington would punch back in the game, Al Horford was always there to settle things down, whether it was bringing the ball up the floor, initiating the offense to the top of the key, finding Cutter's back door. He was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, anytime Al Horford shoots 89% from the field, you got to be feeling pretty good. On top of that, Al Horford also had 3 blocks at his rim protection, along with Amir Johnson. To me, was one of the other big stories of this game. Like so many times we saw John Wall go into the paint in that first quarter, and just the Celtics rim protection was excellent. They gave up a lot of offensive rebounds, but they also were able to convert those missed layups into runouts.
I thought Boston really set the tone, defensively. I thought they were as focused, as locked in defensively as they've been. One and dones, for Washington and forced them into turnovers, get on a fast break. Boston, thanks to their defense, was able to get out to a 17-0 advantage in fast break points against a team in Washington that literally buried them for 2 straight games in transition. That was kind of a weird thing to see.
Yeah.
Well, the Celtics didn't turn the ball over. And the times they did turn it over, it didn't lead to too many points, 11 turnovers.
The Celtics also flipped the script by having a 16-0 run of their own in the first quarter, and then an 11-0 run to open the fourth quarter. I don't think the Wizards had anything remotely close to that. So, the Celtics gave the Wizards a taste of their own medicine. Go ahead.
I was so crazy about Amir. Like, he gave them the ability for, like, the first time. Like, you would think, like, he took the rebounding with Horford. He would box out. He didn't necessarily have to take the rebounds, but he'd box out so Jake could get the rebounds. And then IT and Avery would just run out. And then they were getting transition points. And then it just started the mudslide.
I love Jaylen Brown's energy in the first quarter. I know he didn't score on the game, but I thought he was really active on defense. There was one play in the first quarter that comes to my mind specifically. Terry Rozier got a hand on the ball, and Jaylen Brown jumped out of bounds and saw up the court Avery Bradley streaking and threw it to him for an open dunk. Jaylen Brown was super impressive. I mean, we were waiting for these guys to step up, and everyone did, so it was just great to see.
Yes, high praise from Brad. He said Jaylen was solid, very solid.
He played defense when they needed it. Didn't score really at all, but He locked up Bogdanovich pretty good.
In terms of big impact on the game, I thought Avery number 1, Al Horford number 2, and I thought Jay Crowder was actually at least a little bit more assertive this game. His shot is obviously falling. He was 2 of 5 from 3-point range. He finally took it to the hole and got fouled going to the basket for what feels like the first time in forever. I thought Jay Crowder did a great job to keep them in the game in the first half and keeping that lead to 15, 12, 17 points or whatever it ended up being.
If the Wizards are going to give Isaiah doubles and all this attention, the Celtics are going to have opportunities to get the ball to Al Horford, be a little unpredictable, and those backdoor cuts and Avery Bradley and Jay Crowder moving without the ball. It's going to be open. The Washington defense came back down to earth after 2 great games at home.
Yeah, they actually ran a few post-ups for Jay Crowder off of switches to pretty good effect. Brad Stevens opened the second half with a Crowder post-up. Before the game, we highlighted that the Celtics execution was kind of the main thing that we were looking for, and Brad Stevens said in the post-game that they had to tweak a few things to adjust to the Wizards' pressure, and I think they tweaked more than a few things. I mean, they tweaked a lot. The offense was incredibly diverse. Like you mentioned, Jonathan, the cutting was just absolutely insane. How many open layups did the Celtics get off of cuts where Smart or Horford found them? We even saw in a great replay by the TNT crew, Isaiah Thomas setting a screen for Horford, who calmly drilled a mid-range jumper. The Wizards, we know, are not a good defensive team. We wanted them to throw a little bit more unpredictability in there to exploit the Wizards' deficiencies, and it worked like a charm.
Today's Celtics Roundtable episode is being brought to you by the SeatGeek ticketing app, the smartest and easiest way to get tickets to every game. With SeatGeek's seamless mobile experience, you can buy and sell tickets in just 2 taps, and it doesn't end with the Celtics or any other NBA game. SeatGeek also has plenty of concert, comedy, and theater tickets available too, all fully guaranteed. Listeners to this particular production can support this production and get a $20 rebate off the first SeatGeek purchase. Let's say you want to go to a game, we don't know what game it's going to be, but Boston will be playing in Boston on Monday, whether it's against the Cavs or the Wiz. We don't know yet. If you're going to that game, make sure you use the promo code CELTSNEWS, all one word, to get a $20 rebate off your purchase.
Can we talk a little bit about the Wizards? Because, as great as the Celtics played, and they did play their best game of the series, obviously, kind of shocking to see the Wizards play so poorly on the other end. I just thought they just looked lethargic, not getting back on defense whatsoever. Their floor balance was terrible. It seemed like every time Wall would go to the basket, there would be 3 Celtics there. How much different did the floor spacing look compared to earlier in the series when Wall there was just 1 defender between Wall and the basket or something like that. That was not the case today. It was sort of difficult to diagnose, but energy-wise, they just got completely outclassed by the Celtics.
Yeah, I don't think they're especially on the road, they're an absolutely garbage defensive team on the road, especially when Boston's, whizzing the ball around like crazy. They had over 30 assists on 41 makes? That's a pretty ridiculous number, Boston, to make him work on that end. But Boston routinely got open shot after open shot after open shot. They got a bunch of layups, a lot of good looks from 3-point range. And it seemed like when Boston came out and really beat them up in transition, they just didn't have any life. I think I agree with you on that. The body language was just kind of weird, that they didn't really show any fight after the Celtics were up huge. It was 16 to whatever after the first couple of minutes. And it just looked like Boston was setting the tone early and literally dominating every second of it. And offensively, maybe that's something that Boston made an adjustment with, packing the paint when Wall steps foot inside the paint. I thought the Celtics did a good job of just everybody having eyes on him whenever he had the ball.
The active hands on the Celtics defense really, really hurt the Wizards. They were getting in passing lanes and letting them off the screens into the paint, but kind of guessing where they're going to pass the ball out to.
I think they upped their pressure on the ball and packed the paint a little bit more. I think they were kind of content to let Markieff Morris shoot, and that allowed Al Horford was able. He was the one guarding Markieff Morris with Amir Johnson starting, and he definitely sagged off of him to help on the interior, and it worked wonders for the Celtics.
How about Kelly Olynyk cracking Kelly Oubre with another screen, just like the same kind of screen that set Oubre off in Game 3?
See if we can do it again. I don't have any problem with that.
Welcome the Canadian enforcer.
Yeah, we got the TNT camera crew is on point. They had that super slow-mo down.
Also, a little tension in the Wizards locker room. Someone tweeted, can someone explain why Marcin Gortat sat through the whole second half having 11 boards and decent 3 of 7 from the field, and Gortat hit him with the retweet.
Uh-oh. Nice.
Scotty Brooks.
Yeah, maybe because at that point the game was over anyway. I mean, the Celtics dominated this game. It
was pretty much ice.
Does this make you feel? Go ahead.
Horford was killing him. I mean, this is something we talked about before the series. If the Celtics can play Gortat off the floor, that's to their advantage. And the Celtics have the personnel to do that. And when Horford's playing well, he has the ability to do that. And I think that's what happened.
I'm feeling confident. I think the Wizards are on their heels. I mean, I didn't think Game 5 would go like this, but now that it has, I think the Celtics have all the momentum going in, and they know.
Didn't we learn that there's no such thing as momentum?
Yeah, John Corrales has been very adamant about there's no such thing as momentum. I have to agree with him.
You don't think the Celtics have the momentum going into Game 6?
I think this is so much more about who's playing at home and what sort of whistle you're getting.
It's not. Isaiah could have gotten to the line. Isaiah could have gotten to the line a bunch more. He was getting Oubre, Beal, and maybe even Bogdanovich too were super physical with IT off the ball, holding him. There was a couple plays in a row where Isaiah seemed to get popped in the mouth. He could have gotten to the line a bunch more. I mean, they're going to call it. I think. I mean, a superstar and Isaiah Thomas complain to the refs. Usually, when they do that after the game, there's changes. I don't think Isaiah is going to get to the line in Game 6.
Maybe. He better,
or
else they're in trouble.
I think that's the biggest thing is, like, Isaiah was pretty pedestrian. Like, it was a good game, but he's had 50-point games, so pretty standard.
That's 3 straight games he's had under 20, which is, like, never happened.
That's the game plan against him. They're throwing a ton of bodies there. Scott Brooks said early in the series that they've tried everything except triple team him, and then they basically tried that over the last 3 games.
When he's a willing passer and they're not being too physical with him and grabbing him, you know, Crowder and Bradley can feast on the Washington defense. That's why I'm really excited for Game 6. Like, okay, pick your poison. If you're going to let Isaiah Thomas beat you, he will. If you're going to triple team him, double team him, do whatever, grab him, Crowder, Bradley, Horford are going to be cutting and going to be open. I think the Celtics found something there. I don't know why it stopped.
Jonathan's just a prisoner of the moment here.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I'm a pretty level-headed guy, but when it comes to the Celtics in playoff time, all it takes is like a 12-minute stretch to get me going.
Yeah, you know, you're approaching Zaire territory.
I think they can win in Washington. Call me crazy.
No, you're not crazy. I think
you're insane.
I think that's the thing is, like, the Celtics are like historically really good road team, so I think there's a decent chance that they can win one. I'm not that scared of Washington D.C. In terms of that, and I think the big thing was that Stevens found that if they're going to double team or, you know, triple team IT, then they have to cut people. Like, they just have to run everybody at the hoop and, you know, spread out a couple people at the 3-point line, and, you know, they can make it work.
Celtics 123 over the 101 over the Wizards. They win Game 5. They're up 3-2. With 1 win away now from the Eastern Conference semifinals, with the next game, Game 6, coming up on Friday, 8 o'clock on ESPN. It's been a fun episode of Celtics Roundtable. Thanks for joining us here today, folks. Really do appreciate that. Make sure you download the SeatGeek ticketing app and use the promo code CELTSNews. Your next ticket purchase, you get $20, $20 rebate back. Follow us on Twitter at CLNS Roundtable. Check us out on YouTube and the rest of CLNS Media. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we'll be back on Friday morning to preview Game 6. Could the Celtics finally be advancing, or will there be a Game 7? Make sure you tune in to find out on Celtics Roundtable coming up on Friday morning. See you guys later.